Okay, I wanted to show you all these others that are left. There's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a whole bunch in here. There's at least 13, but 13 is an unlucky number, so I don't want to think that it's 13. Let's see, how can I pop this? See it. Oh, shoot. Maybe not. Shoot. Oh, that might work. You can't see it very well, but turn it a little bit. And this one up here, this is a monarch. So we're just waiting on the monarch to hatch. I'm trying to give him or her room to expand their wings and let the drips come down and things like that. These little cages are super cool. They're like 1 foot by 1 foot. It's mesh. It has a zipper enclosure, and then it also has a plastic area for viewing. So I'm gonna open this up. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. All right, let me show you inside. If you get creeped out by worms, don't watch. That's my warning to you. So there we go. There are quite a few here. What'll happen is a butterfly will come along, and if she finds something that she really likes, a place that she thinks there's a lot of food, she will lay a lot of eggs at one time. So many of these were picked off the same plant and around the same time and around the same growth stage or development stage. Some were a little bit older. Some I just had like a couple. Like there's one in the middle which you can't see from here, but it is so big because it's been here for a long time. And I use these little floral vases with rubber caps. And you can see like the poop frass, we call it, F-R-A-S-S, collects on the top. Easy enough to just kind of tap off. They're not going to eat the frass. It's just going to fall down. In the wild, it would fall to the ground. And they're up on the plant, so it doesn't matter. But you can see, this was dill. It's gone. That dill is gone. So I'm going to take that out so I can put new stuff in. This is a huge flower of dill. Way, 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 way too big, probably. But what I might do is cut the flower parts off and leave this stalk so they can make their chrysalis on the stalk. They really like sticks. So because this is so dry, they're not going to want to eat it. I think they eat them when they're fresh because they get moisture that way too. They get some water. So I'll take all this dead stuff out, cut these flower stalks off. And these are actually dill seed. I mean, you can cook with them. You can make your pickles with them. But there is a little guy on here, so I will not cut those off, obviously. Oh, here you go. There's another big guy on here. And he is, you can see, he's a little bit different color. And he's very, very large. Whoops. There he is. And the way he's positioned, the one that's kind of shaking, the way he's positioned is almost as if he's ready to make a chrysalis, but it's not a really steady spot. So when they're in the cages, if they don't have sticks or really stiff stalks, then they make their chrysalises on the sides of the cage like the other ones I just showed you. Oh, that's so cool. They're so cool. But you can see the difference between this one there and the coloring of that one back there. This one has a little bit more black on it. I don't know the differences between all of them so much. There's a lot of people that are experts and I'm not. It's a hobby. This one's real little. Very tiny. And then if you wanted to raise swallowtails, one thing you need to know is, one, couple things you need to know. 2 things you need to know. How's that? The food you give them is smelly. It's just naturally smelly. So this is smelling like pickles. It's dill. I give them fennel also, which smells like black licorice. So if you don't like those kinds of smells, you might get, maybe you get an enclosed, like an aquarium with mesh on top. Or maybe you put it in a place where you're not going to smell it all the time so it doesn't bother your nose. That's one thing. Oh, and as an aside, you see a lot of poop on the bottom, frass. But again, they're up on the stems, and that doesn't matter as much. Where it would matter is where, turn it a little bit so you can see. Right here, this floral tube does not have a top on it because I could cram a lot of food in there for them. When there's a whole lot of food for them to eat, then the water is protected. But because there's no top and they've eaten so much of the food, there's actually frass floating in the water. So I will need to change that out. I'll just lift this up, put it in a new floral tube, a clean one, fill it with water, put more food in it, and they should be fine. Okay, so here's the second thing you need to know about swallowtail caterpillars is not only is their food smelly, but they can be smelly too. And what happens if you try to pick them up, their defense mechanism is these little pink horns. Darn, it keeps going out of focus. These little pink horns pop out of their head and they emit a scent that's really smelly. So if I touch him, I'm going to be very careful, him or her. I don't know what, I can't tell. Like I said, I'm a hobbyist, I'm not an expert, so there are people that can tell which are the males and the females, but I cannot. But if I touch it gently, watch what happens at the head. The head is up here, the bigger part. Watch this. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm barely touching it. See that little thing? Those little orange things? Oops. See it? And it's emitting a scent as well. I'll do it one more time so you can see it. I don't want to bother them too much. Hey. See that? Little horns. And it kind of smells like the cross between dill and fennel. And I mean, it's not pleasant. It's not supposed to be. But that's something that you would need to know if you decided to try to raise swallowtails. And there's a lot of swallowtails everywhere. If you find them on your dill or your fennel or your parsley or your carrots, it's super, super, super easy to raise them. And birds, when they eat a monarch caterpillar, they usually don't like it. So they spit it out and then they learn never to try it again. But these guys, they'll eat. So I made a huge mistake last year where I found a bunch of these little guys and I put them on a bunch of dill that I have on the west side of the house. Well, the west side of the house is basically my wild bird, I called it something, my wild bird area. It's like my wild bird strip where there's trees, there's feeders, there's like cosmos, excuse me, and coneflower and other things that the birds like to eat. So that's their whole area that they come and go. And so I went to check on them the next day and there were no more swallowtail caterpillars. And there were still the dill and there was fennel out there too, I think. So the food was still there, but the caterpillars were gone. These birds will eat these. Not like monarchs. Monarchs, they don't tend to eat, but birds will eat these. All right, I think... Oh, and there was one other thing. I was going to see if I can fit this little branch in here, because there's tons of nice little stick areas where they can make their chrysalises. So I'll see if I can do that. I gotta move you. Gotta move you. Can you see anything? A little bit. All right. I'm gonna put it in this little blank area here in the corner. And the swallowtails must know which plants to pick. And I was thinking it's because of the stalks that are left in the plants, because they're all very thick stalks, and then they can make their chrysalises. There. So this is sort of like, it sort of mimics a dill because it branches out like a little umbrella or like a cup shape. Same here. And they may or may not make chrysalises on those, but it's just another option for them. All right, so like I said, I will end up cutting back some of that dill flower, and then I have to put some more food in there for them. And if you missed this the previous live, I released 3 of them out into the wild. You can look for them. Tell them I said hi. Caution when raising any butterfly or any caterpillars is that you don't always want to have bigs and littles in the same container. You usually want to have the same sizes in the same containers, because the big ones will tend to eat them, the littler ones, if there's no food available. The other part is that if you have eggs, like monarch eggs, you brought them in, and they're on the plants, the big monarchs will just come and eat all of the eggs, and they will eat all of the leaves, and they don't think about it. They don't say, hey, that's another one of us, and we shouldn't eat it. They don't do that. So I do have a smaller one here, and there's a smaller one here, and there's a small one back over there. But as long as I have enough food in here for them, they should all be fine. So, and like I said, some of the larger ones are getting really close to forming a chrysalis. And once they form a chrysalis, they're not going to do anything, just hang around. They're not going to eat. They'll be done. They will be done. This one in the back right here is probably going to form a chrysalis because it's so big. And this one here. And then there's one there. And then I'll show you this guy on top. He's crawling around. And a lot of times, like, I used to think, oh no, they got lost. They need more food. They need something. And I would take them off of the cages and put them back on the food. And guess what? They would show up again at the top. And then put them back on the food, and they would show up again at the top. So this guy is probably getting ready to make a chrysalis on the edge of the mesh. I'm not sure what that is. It's gone now. I don't know what it was, but it's gone now. Sometimes also insects come along for the ride on the plants, and so you have to kind of be careful about that, especially if it's like a tea fly, because they like to eat butterflies. Now there's something over here. What is crawling over there? I don't know. There's just a little tiny caterpillar right here. He's crawling like an inchworm would. Probably going to put him outside. So you do have to watch for that. And you want to be quiet around them because they can startle. I'm going to do this one time only, so you better watch. This is a startle. Nope, they're not going to do it. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, I hate to do this, but then you can see what happens. This is why you want it to be quiet, a quiet area, gentle hands. I would not let the kids be playing with these. They can feed them, they can watch them, they can talk to them, they can name them, but I would not be putting them in my hands and letting them crawl all over you. Ah! Nope, they're not going to do it now. Pop! Nope. They will actually do a startle reaction if there's loud noises. They will actually do a little jolt. Oh, this one did it right back over here. Way back here. He's doing a little bit. But, yeah. Yeah, let me see. Is he eating also? Might be. Yeah. So I'm always trying to be as quiet and slow with them as I can. Let's see. Yep, he's gonna get ready to eat. This one's eating right there. Let's see. What they do is they grab it with their feet. Oh, he's gonna eat too. They grab it with their feet, and then they shove the stems in their mouths. Watch, watch, look at this. Oops. Okay. Nom, 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 nom. Oop. It's not even corn on the cob. It's more like, it's like sword swallowing, but they're eating at the same time. There's another stem. For your ESM lovers. Is that what that is? ESM? ASR? I don't know. That thing where people like sounds. Yeah, just gonna get it. Here we go. See how fast he's eating it? I've got 13 of these at least. Most of them large. So I'm going to check in about an hour. A lot of times they'll all eat at one time and sleep at one time. So I will have to go for another food run, and I have plenty of food around for them. If I find them on dill or fennel, that's about all they'll eat. They're not in love with parsley. If I find them on parsley, they'll eat parsley, carrot, and they will eat dill and fennel. That's what I found. Other people's experiences may vary. Darn it. Okay. Anyway, how would you like to eat upside down? Just shove a piece of corn in your mouth. Or a hot dog. And when they eat, they do poop. It's called frass. Interesting fact. I came over here a couple days ago, and there was poop, frass, on top of the mesh. And I told Dave, and he's like, well, what does that mean? He's like, oh no, what does that mean? I said, that means there's probably an escapee somewhere. So we may end up with a surprise swallowtail. We have to kind of keep our eyes out for it. All right. Oh, I'll stop. Let's see, that one's startling a little bit. In the back. This one right. That one. Oops. All right, I'll let them eat in peace. That's it for today.